We're also seeing an attempt to claw back on the very important matter of coalition building. And we made strong recommendations with regard to the office of the registrar of political parties. That instead of leaving it to one person, be a commission, a team. Please do not allow anything different from that. If you are going to face the future elections with a measure of confidence, and if you are going to safeguard multi-party democracy. But ladies and gentlemen, remember, we started, this matter was a product of serious pain and agony and death by Kenyan people. On the streets, a year ago, the culmination I think was about April, which is what brought some sense to Kenya Kwanza, and they agreed to discuss. We lost over 72 or thereabouts young Kenyans. We are not even allowed to honor them by having some requiem masses. Remember where we come from, the product. We are actually riding on the lives of Kenyans as we sit here this morning. We can't afford, therefore, to let them down. So our friends from Conrad believe that we should continue to deepen our democratic gains, and so that's a very honorable thing. But there comes a time when if the political class let down the population, what does the population do? Under our Constitution, those freedoms are guaranteed under Article 37. And so Kenyans have the freedom to still go back to the streets. And we hope this time, if that happens, particularly if this aggression continues against the basics in our Constitution, then Kenyans should be allowed to do what is in the best interest of this country. We remember our number one clarion call was Garama ya Maisha. If Jeremiah Kioni was there, I would remind him, his name was Mtu wa Madhuburia. He's carrying, and people would laugh at him and say, what in the world are you trying to demonstrate? Now, we need to tell Kenya Kwanza that revolutions begin sometimes in the streets, sometimes in quiet places. Therefore, if this document is not adopted on the basis as it is, we will then tell them that the bona fides are wanting. There's no good intentions on their part. And we saw, for example, an attempt, and I must thank Stuart Matzayo. But Stuart, forgive me, I called you Zakayo when I came in. If you read the poetry, you can see closeness Zakayo and Mazayo. But Stuart, by the way, this is becoming our national anthem, Zakayo Shuka. Because when we call our friend governor, a former governor like Kipia, and one of our foremost economists, you begin to see that this is becoming actually now a clarion call, Zakayo Shuka. And he said, on a light note, he said, what is there in a name? Oh, there's everything in a name. This Zakayo Shuka thing is becoming a Kenyan national anthem. So Stuart, thank you for the remarks that you made. You tried to stem the hemorrhage at the Senate. An attempt to even declare Azimio la Umoja, one Kenya, as not being part of what we discussed. So you did well, and then they went back to what was originally published. You must stick to that. By the way, I must remind honorable members that this is happening at your own request. Remember when we met at Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Foundation offices, some members felt left out. And so it's important that as we move out of this meeting today, everybody will feel encouraged to have useful input to the legislation before Parliament, before both houses, the National Assembly and the Senate. And so allow me then to also tell you the reason I believe this is becoming a national anthem. And Omwami, or my friend Ambetsa, or Paranya, has told you clearly in his mind, and he's also an economist. He's been Minister for Planning. He knows these things, that you have to prepare yourselves to vote a big no. We know this Finance Bill 2024 is receiving public participation, and it happened the same way. Finance Bill 2023, public participation, over 90% of Kenyans, and 98% said no. Then they went on to implement the very unfortunate taxes, and now you know we went to the streets. As a coalition, we are ready to go back to the streets if that is what it takes. And I hope you are bold enough. I hope you are bold enough if they now go and cause aggression again on public participation. And there are professionals talking about this. Just imagine bringing heavy taxation on bread. Even the little children who have just gone to school will not enjoy their bread with a bit of blue band. They will not. So be ready, ladies and gentlemen. And you know, if you feel a little weak spiritually, that you don't think you can withstand another round of demonstrations, then go eat something strong. We need you. We need you. And this country needs you. So that is my word of encouragement today. So of course we'll be hearing from the economists their perceptions about Finance Bill 2024. May I conclude by making mention of really making some supporting comments on what has happened in the National Assembly with regard to the fake fertilizer scandal. This will not go away. This one will not go away. How many of you believe it won't go away? Because it can. If we're in a democracy and we allow the fake fertilizer scandal just because Linturi has been let off the hook, by the drafters of the Constitution should have put it differently, like happens in the Senate. That you get those hearings, because there was a possibility of overrunning the recommendations of the 11-member committee. And we thank our teams because they saw this happening and they walked out. So the product that came out of the 11-member committee is really shrouded in uncertainty, not uncertainty. Nobody believes it. Kenyans do not believe it. And so, Kenya Kwanza in a catch-22. If they think they've gotten away with this one, they haven't. Because the country is watching. Wait until there's a shortfall in the expected harvest levels because of the fake fertilizer. And if you think you can just refund somebody their little whatever they spend on buying the fake fertilizer, and that's it, please remember the environmental damage. Because unless you go and use other things now to reclaim your 1 acre where you planted the unfortunate substance, you may not be able to make headway in terms of expected harvest levels. We have heard from Dr. Net that food prices in Kenya are the same level as Germany, and everybody knows the high cost of living is still here with us. Finally, I want to urge a spirit of solidarity within the coalition. One of the very key things that we negotiated was a need to amend the Constitution itself to make it clear that if you're elected on an ODM ticket and then you are bought off like chicken in the supermarket, all right, and you think your people are not watching, if you feel strong and popular enough, the best thing to do is to expect, after you have gone through the motions, because it is all there, I think Article 103, is it 103 of the Constitution? We need that amended. It is clear So after that, of course, there must be a by-election, so that we can also stop this hemorrhage and what we call under that particular heading, fidelity to multi-party democracy. It doesn't make sense to cheat the population. And Kenyans have come of age. Clearly they have. Because I'm sure all of us will be witness to the fact, those, for example, who will have been compromised and by the system, given goodies, sometimes 100,000 shillings, you are told, and then you sell your soul for a song. Kenyans are watching, and they are so unpopular, and we know them. We know them. And I think our colleagues in ODM were the first to suffer that kind of consequence. And I'm sure that today, given a chance, they'll come back running. So let's be ready. Let's be ready. So I want to stop there. And really, I don't know who is the next. I also want to actually recognize Advocate Njiru Ndengwa. He doesn't look very tall, but the man is very tall in the head. He's done very well, done a lot of pro bono matters, including appearing with me in defense of aggression against former governor of Murang'a, our brother Mwangweria. So we will be ready. We will fight every inch as we move forward. So I want to encourage you. If you want to be on the right side of history, then don't even imagine you can work in an opposite direction from what your colleagues are trying to do, because then you will stand strong and tall. I think that it's an economic team. I'll hand over, give to the master of ceremony the microphone to take us through. But please remember, and those who keep on coming, please remember this is your session, because you wanted to be brought on board so that everybody will say, yes, we were fully briefed on the NADCO report. May God bless you. Thank you. And bless our country.
Let us give our principal another hands of welcome. At this juncture, allow me to invite Mr. Okango to take us through the rest of the program. Karibu sana, Mr. Okango.
Yeah, thanks. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. My name is Frederick Okango from the Azimio Secretariat, and I just want to make two quick announcements that is going to help us condense this program. We anticipate that we will be leaving here before lunch, because we are aware that there are other programs. There's a team going to Mathare, and then there's also other members who are going back, particularly the Senate. Now, we have adjusted this program slightly because of the finance bill that we know, if you remember in the last PG, the statement from the coalition was that it was coming with a wave of taxes. And I would want to invite Governor Nderitu Murithi, who is the chair of Azimio Economic Council, just to take us through his views and the views of the Azimio Economic Council on this finance bill. I know the bill has gone through Parliament and it has been published. However, it is important that the members also understand and note some of the issues that the council feels about it. And then after that, the technical team led by Professor Adam Zolo and Zen have compressed all those bills. They'll do as a presentation of areas that we'll scrutinize and assess in terms of dynamics, and then we shall have finished. So, Karibu Nderitu Murithi, Governor.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, colleagues, good morning. I'll do it from here instead of the podium because I need to work the PowerPoint. I'll try and finish in 10 minutes so that we can get into the NADCO report. That is if SG of Jubilee takes his seat. Please clap for Honorable Kioni. The Honorable Musyoka spoke about the spirit of solidarity in the coalition. We hope you also seized with the matter that those of us from near here, around the mountain, have a big thing on Friday. And yeah, we hope you are, isn't it? Yeah? I think the Honorable Kioni will have 2 minutes to explain, but the mountain will speak on Friday about where we are going and where we are going there. And so we hope that all of you in the coalition stand with us in encouragement, in words, in deed, in haya. Iyo ingine leader ongeza hapo. And I was quite happy to hear Honorable Kalonzo speak to the spirit of revolution. That look, if the political class keeps on betraying the citizen, oh, you can well understand if the citizen exercises her constitutional right, yeah, to move things forward. Finance bill. Honorable members, I really hope no one on our side of the coalition, you know, there was one of your colleagues who was caught off guard on national television saying that the Finance Act of last year brought food prices down. I mean, it is the most ludicrous kind of comment you can make. All taxes bring the costs of everything up. It's a very simple thing. So, now, honorable members, of course it starts with the budget policy statement. We discussed, honorable members, earlier in the year. It came to you. You may not see the numbers from the back. The point is, the budget policy statement that came through the House, was seeking to increase taxes by 324 billion. 324 billion in ordinary revenue and 41 billion coming from the fees that we pay that you call A in A. So the real question, honorable members, before you, as you go through the finance bill, is which of the measures that you'll be approving. And this is part of the structural problem that we hope you could improve in the way the finance bill is presented to you. It is presented, of course, in the normal way, 5 segments, one for income tax, for VAT, for excise duty, miscellaneous, and so on, as well as tax administration. Each of the measures specified in there, the difficulty with it, it doesn't tell you as honorable members what really is the expectation from that particular measure that you are asked to approve. So you are, in a sense, approving a blanket idea and what should happen in our view. And the country director of CAS said we are the government in waiting. Well, when we are no longer waiting, then the finance bill will certainly be presented in a different manner. But honorable members, as you go through it, ask yourselves, which of the measures that you're being asked to approve, how much tax is coming from each of those measures? What's the impact of that measure on the citizens? Because I have 10 minutes, I won't go through the slides as they are laid out, but they'll be available to honorable members. And I should also add, this is a very preliminary analysis. And the Economic Council will be deepening the analysis and sending the report to you. Let me start with income tax. A number of difficult propositions brought for you to approve. One is to see trade associations as though they are companies. You know, so Kenya National Chamber of Commerce or KEPSA, to see trade associations as companies and therefore make them subject to income tax. You are also being asked to amend or delete Section 54 of the housing, the recent one for the housing levy. The impact of that deletion is that when the saver withdraws the money, then that money is subject to tax. You will also be asked to, you are being asked to approve a new tax for motor vehicles of between 5,000 and 100,000 per motor vehicle to be collected by the insurance companies when they insure your car. Now, the difficulty with this, of course, two difficulties. One, on third-party insurance, then what is the valuation that will be used? But most importantly, of course, that tax is going to percolate through the transportation sector, and transport costs are going to go up in general. You will also find you are being asked to change certain definitions. Section 2 of the bill is asking you to change definitions in Section 2 of the Income Tax Act to bring, as I said, trade associations to pay taxes, family trusts to pay taxes, and so on. And we urge you to say a big no. I want to move on to VAT. The big issue with VAT, again, is moving bread and flour and other food items basically to, you move them from zero rated to exempt. And the impact is that the inputs that go into making the flour, then the producers cannot claim back that VAT. And because they can't do that, obviously they push it to the citizen. Currently we estimate unga might go up by about 10 to 15 bob. But I want to say here, it's a preliminary estimate. Obviously you should be saying a very big no, because, we should be bringing the cost of living down, not what our colleagues in government are doing, which is to do everything to try and bring it up. In excise duties, you're being asked to change quite a number of things. Allow me to pick only one, which is to increase the excise duty on financial services. So, when people, and you remember last year, honorable members, this was moved from 12 to 15%. Now it is moving from 15% to 20%. That is the proposal. So when people use mobile money and all the financial services that are making financial inclusion better for Kenya, all those charges, the proposal is now for you or for the country to tax them at 20%, which we believe you should say a really big no. Allow me to stop there. The overall impact of what you're being asked to do is to increase the burden of tax, an average of 27,000 per person. When you think on it, the working population, so if you say the working age, and you say these 324 billion in new taxes or increased taxes and the 41 billion in additional fees, how much is that per person? Frankly, it is equivalent to 27,000 shillings for every working person. Now, obviously, children don't pay taxes, but if you are spreading it to everybody, including children, then it is nearly 6,000 for every person, man, woman, child. Surely it is not practical to do. We should say no, and I agree with Honorable Kalonzo that we must consider, going back to the streets if that is what is going to take to say no. I thank you very much indeed for listening. Thank you, Fred. Is it in did I keep time? Thank you.
Thank you. That was short, and thank you so much. Thank you. Now, allow me to recognize the presence of Dr. Odinga. The youth leader is in the house. We want to move very fast because we are now moving into the NADCO bills, but I want to introduce or invite the technical team that was part of this at Bomas from Azimio side, who will now again invite Dr. Otiende Amolo. One of the bills that has been processed is the IBC Amendment Bill 2023. And Otiende Amolo will just take us through some of the areas of concern that they had and some of the amendments that have been there. Then Zain and Professor Adams will complete the process, so they'll take over from there. Zain and Prof. I think Prof, you come first.
Thank you very much to the leadership of Azimio and all Waheshimiwa, all protocols observed. I think that starting where Governor Nderitu has left is that one of the issues that was canvassed, that as Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka said was an irreducible minimum, was the cost of living. And we all know how